So let's get this straight real quick. You have two options. You can have the government's estate plan, or you can create your own estate plan. And since planning your own mortality isn't the most exciting thing in the world, far too many people are settling for the government's estate plan. And unfortunately, what that comes with is maybe some probate costs, some estate taxes your estate is going to have to pay, your beneficiaries would have to pay when otherwise they might not have had to. And number three, some headaches that you might leave behind with this mess. So today we're going to talk about how you're going to combat that. 5 steps to creating your estate plan. My name is Michael McKelvey. I'm a certified financial planner with Mariner Wealth Advisors. And I wanted to put together this video because I get a lot of questions on estate planning. Do I need a trust? Do I need a will? Do I need to work with a professional, or can I handle this on my own? All legitimate questions. And because we're a full service firm, we don't just help with wealth management. We have estate planning help. We have an estate planning attorney network with estate planning attorneys across the nation. We have a tax planning and preparation team with over 100 different CPAs and tax planning professionals. We have a trust services team that can establish a trust and even act as the trustee of someone's trust. We're very much a holistic firm, so estate planning is something we help people out with. And at any point in time, if you feel like, hey, I'd love to have help with this, I'd love to have a guide in this process, it's pretty complex, you can feel free to click the link down in the description to schedule a complimentary consultation with one of our advisors. That will take you to our scheduling tool. But at the very least, make sure to hit that subscribe button to follow along for more content from industry professionals here at Mariner Wealth Advisors. Let's hop into this. Step 1, do you have an updated estate plan and is it funded? If the answer to that is, I don't know, or no, here are your next considerations. So the primary consideration here for step 1 is really just answering this question of, do I need an estate planning attorney? And we answer that by taking stock of where we're at. So are you single? Do you not have kids yet? Is your life maybe not wildly complex and you maybe just started your first job? You probably don't need an estate planning attorney yet. That's not a direct recommendation. It's just that it tends to make more sense when you get married, when you get a house, when maybe you have kids, when your life changes significantly, or when maybe you start a business, as your life gets more complex. And sometimes an update is a whole new estate plan for some people, right? If it's a big enough update. So there are do-it-yourself services out there in the estate planning realm, just like any other service. It's just that they require you to know what questions to ask, and that becomes increasingly challenging as your life gets more and more complex. I mean, do you really want to be navigating the legal confines both at the state level and federally? Most people don't. They don't want to be spending their time doing that, nor do they want the risk. And so they opt to use an estate planning attorney. And that leads into the second consideration here, which is not all estate plans are created equal. And what I mean by that, your life is unique. So this should be specific to you. And I think the bigger challenge a lot of times is not necessarily that it's just templated, but it's not updated and maintained as your life changes, because the one constant in life is change. That's why we always make sure, as a part of our service, as we review somebody's situation each year in our annual reviews, we always make sure to review their estate plans. So I bring in estate planning attorneys or estate planning professionals regularly into meetings, in addition to just myself, to take a look at somebody's estate plan to make sure that it's legitimate. So again, some important considerations here to consider. So if you decided to consult with a professional, the second step would involve having that professional lay out a set of recommendations for you, and there you would see the associated fees for each of those recommendations. So for example, updating estate planning documents, creating any new estate planning documents, creating a trust. And just so you're aware, creating a trust is typically one of the more expensive components of an estate plan. The reason for that, it's more work up front typically for that attorney. But people typically set up trusts from a planning standpoint because it can allow assets to pass outside of probate, which can save time and certainly money because you don't have to pay the probate fees that would be associated otherwise. It also can save headaches. The monies can pass privately, whereas if you don't have the trust in place, it maybe is just public and you maybe don't want everybody to see how your estate is settled. And lastly, from an estate tax standpoint. So for example, we just met with a client who said, hey, I got an estate plan in place. We always make sure to audit and review. So we just checked what their estate plan looked like. And there were some pretty big holes in that estate plan, even though, again, hey, we got a trust, we got an estate plan in place. That can mean anything. So we checked it out. We recommended a few different trusts. those trusts would end up saving the clients millions in estate taxes by the time they're 85, if they were to pass away at 85. That is big savings. Certainly worth it in this case for a few $1,000s of setting up a trust, which it can range from a few thousand up depending on the types of trust, depending on the complexity of estate. One of the benefits also in that case, we have a trust services team, which is in South Dakota, which has more trust-friendly laws in place for a few different reasons. It's a good thing to have in the arsenal. But again, point being here is the second step is typically reviewing those recommendations, and there you'll see the associated costs. You'll be able to figure out, hey, what is this thing going to cost to put in place if I am working with a professional? So from here, the client will decide what they want to implement. And depending on what they're implementing, the trust professional or estate planning attorney will gather any other information or details that they need from that client. Step 4 involves funding the estate plan, especially if you have a trust. And this is unfortunate because people will spend all this money getting all these different estate planning documents in place, and then they won't actually fund the estate plan. So funding means, retitling, let's say, bank accounts in the name of the trust, retitling some investment account in the name of the trust, retitling some type of account in the name of the trust, getting a life insurance policy that funds the trust, changing the deed for a home, for example. It just depends on what the estate plan is. So you have to actually fund that estate plan, and this can be costly. Say, for instance, you didn't change the deed of a home that you wanted to place in the trust to the name of the trust. Well, now that home has to go through probate, and you probably don't want that if you just spent all this money setting up the trust. So step 5 involves reviewing and reassessing the estate plan. So you get this estate plan in place, but again, the one constant we know is life will change. So you need a plan to monitor and reassess, review this estate plan in case there's changes that need to be made to that estate plan, which is why in each of our reviews, again, we always make sure to check up on the estate plan. Some years there's really not any changes, but other years there's major changes, or at least large enough changes to where we should update some beneficiaries or change some things around with the estate plan. So again, you need to set a plan in place to review and make sure we're updating this estate plan as your life changes. So there's a lot to this, and for whatever reason, again, if you feel like you would enjoy having a guide in this process, or at least just asking some questions, understanding a little bit more how it works, feel free to click that link down in the description to schedule a free consultation with one of our advisors. Find a time that works for you, but at the very least, click that subscribe button down below to follow along for more content from industry professionals here at Mariner Wealth Advisors. I'm Michael McKelvey. I'm a certified financial planner. Hope you found this content educational. Take care.